Okay. It's all good. Can we start? Oh, there is a conversation. Can we start? Yes. Thanks for coming. And before I start, I need to give some time for Microsoft. Make sure that they have all the details for you from emergency and all this housekeeping and everything. And I'll take it over and I will give it to speakers. Thanks for coming, by the way, and give it to Rev. I call Rev. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to Microsoft. And this space is called the Academy / Reactor. So I am Ravneet. I work for the Microsoft Reactor program. We are a community program here at Microsoft. We run our own events to upskill developers. We run our first-party events, but we also collaborate with these amazing third-party communities like Kubernetes, AI developer meetups to run third-party events and obviously, collaborate with them, share knowledge, upskill developers. That's the main motive of Reactor. I work alongside my colleague Liam, who is a senior cloud advocate here. If you have any technical questions or any questions about Microsoft products, services, you're best to speak to Liam. And if you have any marketing questions, you can speak to me, of course, because I'm non-technical. We operate, before we obviously get into the session, I just want to let you know, we operate a very strict code of conduct policy here. I just want to remind you all that we are all here to learn. So please be respectful, please be kind, ask a lot of good questions, and, just be, have fun, be kind. This is our code of conduct here. If you get a minute, please do read it. A bit of housekeeping. So if you need a drink, if you need water, tea, coffee, soft drinks, they're on the other side. Me and my colleague George will be at the reception. So we'll take you onto the other side and you can have whatever drinks you'd like. Fire exits and toilets are opposite this door, straight through. You'll see black double doors. Toilets and fire exits are through there. For fire exit, please follow the green running man. In case of fire, do not use the lifts. There's a couple of things, obviously, I wanted to say. Well, we're running 2 events. One is on the 4th of September, which is our own first-party London Reactor meetup. I think it's going to be on cybersecurity. And if you're interested, please feel free to come in. The information for that meetup will be on our Reactor website and also on our meetup. Then we're running a very exciting event for women because there's lots of women here today. We're running a Women in AI event on the 19th of September. We're going to have a smashing panel. We're going to have Microsoft, McKinsey, Meta, all women who are working in AI come and present. So if you are interested, please do come along. It's going to be a really interesting event and you'll learn lots from it. And obviously, men are also invited. I know it's Women in AI, but obviously everybody's invited. And yeah, with that, I'm hand it over to Subhash and he'll take it from there. But thank you very much for coming.
Remember everything what she said? Okay, don't forget because I was not able to remember everything, but thanks for giving all such good details. And to start with, I want to understand that who are all who's first time here for this event? Kubernetes user group. Oh, so many. Okay. Anyone, what made you to join this event? Anyone?
No.
Okay. Okay. I was waiting for that answer anyways. Okay. So yeah, so the Kubernetes user group is usually we are the one who run globally, and I'll go through it. And welcome to everyone. And we are the meetup group which has like 15,000 people in the meetup across the globe, like Canada, Australia, and Singapore. And I'm sure that many of them have seen the LinkedIn profile, which is very active. We have a lot of admins. We keep on making posts over there. And quick on agenda, it's like networking and with foods and drink. Of course, it got late today, so we are going to shift that to after the first speaker session. We will have networking and we will have food and drinks. And no alcohol, by the way, so I'm sorry for that. And introduction, I'm just on that. And with that, we will go for speaker talk. We have 3 speakers, but I'll say 2 speakers. One is Buddha, and who's flight from directly from US, or I don't know what's your transit, but he came from US to make this session and add value to this community. And we have one more, Rohit, who will be showing on the V cluster part, and he's on the last, so you will get to know him. And make sure you're end of the session, because we have a quiz. I'm not sure if earlier people who joined the session, we used to do this quiz program. It's very interesting. We have 10 questions based on the speaker's topic, and there is giveaway for that. And make sure you're there for that, because I see people are not interested in quiz, but there is a giveaway, good quiz. And we usually have a group photo. So this we usually do for our meetup. So make sure that our faces are visible to Australia, Canada, and Singapore, so that we usually share our community together as a community. So our mission is very simple: share and learn to enable the community, particularly on the Kubernetes and cloud-native space. So I don't want to keep this mission very heavy, so I kept it very light. I'm moving on to the speaker as I introduced. Buddha. Oh, I forgot Carol is part of the first speaking session. Yeah, APIOps. And Carol and Buddha will be taking care of that. And followed with Kubernetes scaling hacks. That's with Rohit. Rohit on the last seat, so you'll get to know him. And lastly, it's me. How generative AI is revolutionizing DevOps. It's a very interesting topic, but I'll see that how can I make it in 10 minutes. But you can reach out to me after the session. So quite fast, because we need to have a good break. Okay, and thanks to our organizer. I have to thank myself, but before I'm thanking myself, I'll thank Yong, who's our founder of the Kubernetes user group. And we have Sajiva, who's recently joined. He's a Cube astronaut, and he's one of the Cube astronaut in UK. And we have one more founder, and he's a founder of Udemy, but he's one of the key organizer, which is a history of what this meetup has been done in the past. And he's Syed, he's sitting there, and he's one of the Cube astronaut as well. And these guys, all 3 guys are Cube astronaut, except this guy, this me. So I'm focusing on something else. So, and I want to thank particularly for the volunteer. He can't join, he's in out of country, but he's a very helpful so far. He's doing a lot of things offline. And Israel, he's one of the volunteers, and he's sitting in the last. And thanks everyone for that. And I particularly want to thank the sponsors, but I'll go for the next slide to show that. And our main sponsors are usually cloud native, as usually support us, and the core cloud was our strongest partner across the globe. And now we have partnered with TYK, and Buddha is from there, and Buddha and Carol and the team is there. And we have Microsoft, you have seen them. They are going to take care of our venue and other stuff. Thanks for them, and thanks for TYK. Pizza is from TYK, yeah. And I just ran fast because I need to give some time for the Cube astronaut program, because I want to make sure they are speaking to the Cube astronaut. I'm not speaking because I'm not a Cube astronaut. So I'll call Sajiva, who's our new organizer, to talk about it very quickly. He give him a round of applause. Yes. Taking photo, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Subhash. So I'm very new to public speaking. Okay, let's see how it goes. I'm Sajiva. So I work as a database reliability engineer at Credit Karma. So before we talk about CubeAstronaut program, I would like to know if we have any other CubeAstronauts here apart from Sahid.
Any Cube astronauts here? Okay. I think many people
Don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the CubeAstronaut program. So this was announced at KubeCon EU 2024. That was like 4 months ago. So this basically says if you are able to get all 5 Kubernetes certifications, namely CKA, CK8, CKS, KCNA, KCSA, then you will be able to get this CubeAstronaut title. So these certifications offered by Linux Foundation. So it is quite a journey, but it is well rewarding. So if you are a CubeAstronaut, you will get this blue jacket so that you can show your status. So you can see Tom Kang, founder of this community, wearing his blue jacket. So you can't see his face, but you had to take my word for that.
We get the jacket.
Yeah, you can get the jacket if you.
Yeah, as soon as
Yeah,
you
all
get
fine.
your Q astronaut, then you will get a couple of things. It's listed there.
Yeah. So in addition to that, you will get deadly badge, and also you will get access to a private mailing link, mailing group, so a private Slack channel. And also you will get to feature yourself in CNCF website, and also you will get 5 coupons each year so that you can purchase more cloud CNCF exams, not CNCF exams, Linux Foundation exams. So those are like 50% off. So you can use those for yourself, or you can share it with others.
Yeah, you get some discount code to spend more.
Yes. So there are 18 CubeSnots. There are like 388 CubeSnots in the world. So there are only 18 CubeSnots in the UK. So yeah, congratulations to all of them. So CubeSnot community. So this is growing fast. So we would like to encourage all of you to become one. So from our side, we can like point you to the right direction. We can share the study materials, and we can share coupon codes so that you can get amazing discounts when you purchase exams. We have some coupon codes we can share.
Just take a photo of it. You might use it later.
So yeah, so for
Exclusive offer.
Yeah.
you have to like be quick. So the first one, this is for Pro, very useful learning platform. Yeah, they are sponsoring us as well. We get 47, and then foundation exams. So this is not only for CNCF exams. This is for all Linux Foundation exams, including CNCF. So you get 42 valid for 3 days only. I checked today, it worked. And the other one is CubeSnot bundle. You buy all the CubeSnot bundle, you will get 48 something off. So the good thing is, if you buy today, that will be valid for a year. So that's pretty much it. So if you have questions, I'll be around. Thanks.
So this is why I didn't do Kubernetes, because all the certification has to be in line. I can do two, but only smart people can do it. Anyways, thank you so much. And so our global footprint, because I try to give a hint, like where do we as a start. So this is how our global footprint is. I don't want to go through the slides. I done a cheat code over there. And what is our upcoming meetings? So these are the upcoming sessions happening across the globe. As I say, like Singapore, Canada, and this is us happening today. And there's one in Australia and one in Australia, Sydney. So these are the things, these are the events happening across the globe. And we are starting in US in coming months, and we are starting in Switzerland in coming months. So we're trying to expand, and that's sort of what we are in. And with that, I don't want to get you bored. So I'm going to leave for Buddha to talk about his topic. It's a very interesting topic. Let's go through that. Okay. All good? Any questions? Okay, so you have to wait for the second speaker, because we have a break after first speaker. So after visa, we have to keep the bags here when you go there. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Both of them a gentle applause.
I keep forgetting Carol. I'm sorry for that. You're so silent. So she's one of our speaker. Yeah. I think after the talk, no one's ever going to forget her because it's going to be that impactful. Yeah, don't worry. Thank you. Let me just get rid of Slack because I don't want this all to be public. Okay. All right. I think good to go. All right. Well, hello and welcome everyone to Kubernetes User Group London Meetup. So as Subhash mentioned, the Kubernetes User Group Meetup has been going on for a little while. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of the Singapore Meetup initially, before moving to the United States. And now I've had the pleasure of being part of the London Meetup as well. So today I want to present to you a topic that is very close to my heart, but also something that needs a bit of a clarification, a bit of understanding the importance of why you should be considering something like API ops. So the topic for today, we're going to be diving into the world of API ops, paving the golden path to API platform maturity. I assure you that was not made by ChatGPT. This is all my creation. So with that, just a quick introduction. I am Buddha. I'm a developer advocate at Tyke and the board chairperson for the Open API Initiative. I live in Durham, North Carolina, originally from India, lived in Singapore for 14 years. I'm a very recent import of the United States, and I'm still kind of getting used to that. With me is my partner in crime today, who is Carol. So, Carol.
Yeah, hello all. Nice to meet you all. I'm Carol. So I'm working as a senior product manager at Tyke. I've been here. I'm living in London. I've been here for 3 years. I came from Hong Kong originally. So happy to be here. I work at Tyke very closely with the Kubernetes developers. So it is a great opportunity to connect to you all today.
Awesome. Second applause already. That's good. This is going well. So what do we have in store for you today? Obviously, the introduction, a little hello world from all of us has already happened. We're going to be talking a little bit about the API platform maturity and what that looks like, some of the need for why you need API platform maturity, but also some of the outcomes that you can expect and how to get some of that maturity accelerated within your organization. We'll then go into API ops, what it is. Do we need yet another ops word out there, or is there actual relevant value to be added here? Then we'll also connect that all to charting a path to maturity, specifically for API platforms and what that looks like. And then at the end of those 25 minutes, if you're not already exhausted with everything that you've heard, then you can have your questions as well. So without further ado, I'm going to go straight into the topic today, which is I'm going to start this off with APIs and API platforms, the heart of what we do at Tyke. Again, for those who are unfamiliar, we are a cloud-native API management platform with an powerful API gateway powering all of our different capabilities, completely agnostic to all of the different platforms, whether you're running it on Azure or GCP or AWS or your own backyard. It doesn't matter. API management as a solution provides you a whole range of security, scalability, stability, reliability, observability, all of these ability words that makes your APIs production ready. So that is the whole intent of what we do, and therefore APIs and API platforms, bread and butter for what we do right now. Now, as you might have heard, APIs are important. To back up that claim, we have some statistics to go with it, which is part of the State of API Security Report of 2024 suggests that 71% of all web traffic in 2023 were API calls. At an enterprise level, that stat goes to about 1.5 billion API calls on an average. With that many API calls and that many APIs in action, you would think the following statement is right, which is building APIs is easy. Who here believes this? Beautiful. Usually when I hear that, sometimes I see the emotional state of that person to look something like this. I'm not saying that it is true, but a lot of times it tends to be something like this. And that is because in the world of typical humans, people who are slightly getting started with this and into this realm, building APIs is hard. And it's not just because of the functional capabilities that you need to build in, not just the functional logic, but for production grade APIs, you need to consider security, governance, observability, discoverability, how you're going to be accessing all of that, the developer experience. And then you have to think about the business needs that are constantly evolving and changing, the managing of distributed teams and how you're going to be interacting with all of those different complexities brought together and an ever expanding
tool stack. So with all of that, typically you would consider APIs to be a difficult proposition to do right. And then the consequences of doing it wrong, it can be quite catastrophic. I think we've had a few recent examples. I think some of which have been very, very public, whether that is in the realm of security, whether it's been in the realm of observability. The challenges of mismanaging APIs, how they are built, how they are made production ready, can be fairly important, and failure to do so can be catastrophic. Getting it wrong would mean loss of trust, loss of revenue, closure of business. No dice. We don't want to do that. So to be the savior that APIs deserve and need at the same time, we have the notion of platform engineering. Now, you might have already heard the term platform engineering as an evolution of DevOps and a couple of different mishmash of things. But typically, when we think about platform engineering, its importance has been sort of created across these different stats to talk about 80% of software engineering organizations by 2026 would have already had a platform engineering team. From the people who have already done so, we've already seen some significant results from the development velocity being expanded or increased by 68%. So what is an API platform? API platform, very, very simply put, is a platform that enables developers to build and manage API products better, faster, more efficiently. This is a bit of an oversimplification, but at the heart and core of it, this is what an API platform is created to do. Now, while we have spoken about the bad and what could go wrong when APIs are mismanaged, what could good look like? And this is kind of a case study of one of our customers who have built out a very mature API platform with the right operations, with the right team topologies, with the right tool stack in place. And the results that they saw were across these three different aspects. Starting off with release cycles, which were originally at 45 days, deployment times, which were originally at 1.5 hours, and additional Lambda costs at about $30,000 extra, which then transformed into release cycles coming down from 1.5 months to 1 day, average deployment times coming down from 1.5 hours to 5 minutes, and cost savings of at least $30,000 on an annual basis. Now, this doesn't happen overnight. This takes a lot of concerted effort. So how do you get to this point? One of the things that they utilized in order to achieve these results is what we call the principles of the API platform maturity model. I so happen to be a co-creator of this, but the idea is very, very simple. This is an open forum. It's an open model that enables you to chart a roadmap for the future of your API platform initiative and investing in it, investing your resources wisely to achieve it. Why this is important? It helps you assess your current level of maturity, define a future proposition and roadmap, and to bridge the gap between those two things. What that looks like in practice, it has two components at this point of time. One that is geared towards the decision makers, which for those who are familiar with the CNCF's platform engineering maturity model, this might seem a little bit familiar, but the idea here is this is demarcated towards decision makers. And if you look at the levels, it goes from level 1 to level 4. And the idea here is you're shifting from something that is a little bit more ad hoc, a little bit more voluntary, towards something that is a lot more self-service, a little bit more integrated in nature. This doesn't talk prescriptively about a specific tool like, say, Kubernetes, for instance, but it looks at the big picture holistically across those dimensions, which then goes into the implementer side of things, which is not just about the decision makers, but at the implementation level, you need to consider a couple of these different capabilities that an API platform needs to enable. And that, again, goes across a few different dimensions, across governance, across security, consumer experience, APIOps, which is what we're going to be diving into next, and API observability. So given all of this, the idea here is that the original definition of API platforms that are enabling that production capable APIs to be built, it's not just about the technical capabilities, but it's actually an amalgamation of all of these different maturity pillars that you need to consider holistically. So to expand the definition of the API platforms, this is what I think best suits the purpose, which is an ecosystem of intentionally designed APIs that delight and empower developers, partners, and customers to deliver desired outcomes. Now, there are a couple of components to this, which would include the people side of things, the process and operation side of things, as well as the tool stack. A lot of people get hung up on the tool stack. Today, we are here to talk about API operations and how that is going to help you evolve your platform maturity. And we'll see how that also influences all of these different dimensions from a mindset perspective, as well as a tool set perspective. So I'm going to be handing it over to Carol next, who is hopefully going to take us from a point of this, from the development world, not actual scenes from customers or Tyke, by the way, to this, hopefully, by the end of it. Definitely actual scenes at Tyke after everything is going well. 4 days out of 5. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to hand it over to Carol. Over to you for API Ops.
Thank you. Great introduction. And so to expand on what is API Ops. So we have talked about a lot of different ops model, DevOps, GitOps, MLOps, AI Ops, etc. So when I first think about what is API Ops, I learned obviously from the past what has been done before. So first looking at DevOps, I'm sure you're all familiar with this concept. DevOps proposed as a set of practice that can help development teams and operations team work collaboratively together. The aim is really just to shorten the development life cycle and help us to deliver quality software continuously. It boils down to a number of toolings at the end. So automation is an important part of it. Automating any repetitive task from testing, integration to deployment, it would help us to deliver software continuously. So it empowers us to do continuous integration and deployment to productions. And then what's important for doing that is we can get constant feedback from what happens on production side back to your development cycle. So from upside, what we monitor could feed into our initial design of our system, and then we can evolve to have a better system at the end. Another good practice that I've borrowed ideas from is GitOps. So GitOps is expanding what developers are already doing in development side, making use of Git as a single source of truth to hold your not only applications, but also your infrastructure configurations. So it is times when ops learn from developers and implement this way of implementing continuous deployment. It has a number of principles behind GitOps. We want decorative configurations, so it is clear what you want to achieve at the end. Everything is version controlled in your Git repositories, and then we usually have an agent running in Kubernetes that help to pull your configurations from Git and reconcile it to your Kubernetes cluster continuously. So this is GitOps. It helps a lot us to achieve this stable, easy management of infrastructure. And then coming to API Ops. What to think about API Ops is adding this little circle API design in front of DevOps, because I think that API design is so important in the overall API Ops cycle. So API Ops, we say, is a practice built on top of DevOps and also API management. So it borrows best practice from both sides. The aim is to optimize the speed and quality throughout the whole API development lifecycle. It's not just development, deployment, but from your API design through to observability in the production system. It helps you to deliver value quicker without disrupting your user, without upsetting anyone. And we talk about some of the principles, approaches in DevOps and GitOps. API Ops built on top of it, incorporates the best practices from both sides, and also with the additions of some of the best practices from API management. So I've added in open standard, the use of open standard, for example, open API specifications, GraphQL, those kind of things, and also the use of federated API management. So this is a way of decentralizing your API management. We don't want a central governance unit to blocking your way for the developers to deploy the change. We want central governance, but decentralized execution. I'll go to the details a little bit later. And then before we go in just how to implement API ops. This is some of the like ops moment that happens if you didn't manage your API operations correctly. I'm just not sure if there's any problems list here that has happened to you before, and did you suffer from not being able to clearly, for example, get your API documentations when you are trying to use an API, or your API as React state has grown so uncontrollably that there are a lot of duplicating APIs, or lack of API style guides causing very poor user experience of your APIs. So here to pave the road to the platform maturity based on the API platform maturity model, I propose some set of like from different angles, practices or tools or mindset change that we can help to deliver better APIs. So APIs, let's talk about APIs development in 3 stages, from API design, development to operations. And then one more important aspect is below that is the security and compliance concern. I think that this does not happen in any one of the stage, but it should be something at the back of our mind whenever we are working on an API. So API design stage is a very important stage that we should not skip this at all. Apart from analyzing business requirements, it is a good time that we should also understand how our APIs are to be used. What are the API styles they're expecting? And then we should go on to design our API. We don't need to design our APIs from scratch every time. So a good tips for that is use of API templates, where you can codify what your standard API should look like in API templates, or also known as API style guides or API design guide in your organizations. Another aspect is the use of open API specifications or GraphQL toolings. The benefits of using an open standard is the availability of all the different toolings that is available. So for example, if you are using open API with toolings ranging from API design, collaborations, documentation, testing, you can do all sorts of things around your APIs with the different toolings available. And then once your design is ready, you can take it back to get feedback from your stakeholders. So where API mockings would become very useful, because you can not only give them a 20-page document to review, you can actually serve the API in a mock server and let them play with it, interact with it, and gives you very useful feedback. I'll just pop in some features currently supported at TIKE. So we have TIKE has recently made OAS, Open API definitions, as the default API configurations format. So every API definitions for a RESTful API is an Open API document. By doing that, you can gain the benefits that you can use all the different toolings available to link your API, to document your API, or to test your API. So what it is exactly, it is your ordinary original Open API descriptions plus a little TIKE extension. So the extension part would host all your gateway configurations, for API listen path, or all the middleware configurations of that particular API. And we also have features on API templates recently introduced, which is just a partial Open API document. So from here, you can have all your API design guides, style guides, naming conventions, standard error codes or standard authentication methods that you want the team to share. Codifying it, developers can start really quickly. And what you get is a very standard API at the end for your organization. Oh, and one last thing about OpenAPI capabilities in Tyke is when you bring in your OpenAPI description to Tyke to create that API document, we have automation options here for to create some middlewares for you automatically. So for example, you can create middleware to deliver mock responses. It is based from the mock response examples you have in your OpenAPI specifications. So by doing this, the API gateway at Tyke can serve as your mock server. You can send with only your OpenAPI documents. You can already serve your APIs as a mock service to API stakeholders for review. Going back here, once we have the design confirmed, we goes on to the development. So same thing, what happens as with the DevOps principle, we should do continuous testing, integration, and deployment. Just one more thing I've added here is the API specification, API design that you have created earlier should be part of your CI/CD/CT process. You can do so by, if you're using an open standard, of course. So OpenAPI with toolings that you can build in your CI pipeline to help with API linting, testing, or even detect breaking change. We don't want to upset our consumers at the end because we introduced a breaking change that shouldn't be there. Over here is what a CI pipeline could look like. You commit all your code and also the API definitions to give testing. And finally, when all is okay, you can build your Docker image and also at the same time commit your API definitions that has passed all the testing to a Git repository, or you can upload it to a Docker repositories too. So together, they are ready for deployment. I think it is like good practice to also commit your API definitions to version it here, because at any time, if you want to roll back your application, you can always find the corresponding API definitions that goes with it. So it makes all the version upgrade or rollback very easy. Is the continuous deployment. We have Tyke operator, which is a Kubernetes operators. Once you have your OpenAPI definitions ready, you can convert it into a custom resource so that operator can pick it up. It reads from it all the API definitions details and send those and try to reconcile with your Tyke dashboard, the control plane. The control plane can be in cloud, it can be running in the same Kubernetes environment. And let's talk about the operation side. So when your applications is running in the production environment, what's important in the release process is how to handle API versioning and deprecations. APIs is like specials because you have your downstream users, people who are using your APIs. You have to be very careful with versioning so that it doesn't breaking change doesn't break their systems. So I'm sure this capabilities is available in most of the API management platform, and then also here you can publish your APIs to a developer portal to make it discoverable. The API is just running in your system is not as helpful if the developers cannot search for it, view the documentations from the developer portal, and start interacting using your APIs. When the API is running, when API traffic is going through the gateway, having API observability is also very important. At Tyke, we are supporting OpenTelemetry for APIs. OpenTelemetry is the open source observability framework now supported by all the major observability vendors and also a lot of open source tools. With it, you have a lot of flexibility where to send your data, telemetry data to support. So OpenTelemetry support ELK, Elasticsearch, Datadog, Jaeger, Prometheus, a lot of different tools that you may be already using. So our gateway has native support of OTel distributed tracing, which means that all the traffic going through Tyke gateway will create a standard span for that traffic, and you will get very useful information if something goes wrong. If that API returns an error, you now have the capability to trace where that errors occurs in your backend system. So these kind of information is used a lot with in our enterprise customers. It helps them to troubleshoot and also provide proactive optimizations to the system because they have those visibility. And finally, the final bit, but very important bit around security and compliance. So the concept is we support a lot of governance rules in Tyke. So one of the features we support is the open policy agent. They can have their open rules import to the Tyke dashboard. So what it enables is for every calls to Tyke dashboard, for every API config change, it will go through the open rules here. So you can do cool things here, for example, to check if the request is valid, if the configurations is what you expect. For example, you can detect any listen path collision there, which is not visible or not easily visible to distributed teams in your organization.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Would you be able to, with this policy, to potentially drop any kind of like payloads if it's a response?
Yes.
Because
So,
monitoring
yeah.
observability, you don't want to be
King.
logged in.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. So you can check for any conditions, block the request, or you can change the request content within it too with the open policy.
The open policy agent, actually, the policy engine can actually run at any place within your entire pipeline. So while this is more at the gateway level, you can technically run it at any stage within your entire application. So yeah, you can have it at multiple points as well for very specified rules. So if you want to run it in front of a database, for instance, you can have very database specific rules if you want. In front of an API gateway, typically it's request response. You can have any specific things there. You can even have it before your API request is even made. So, you could have it in different places. So implementations can vary. But at this point, this is more at the gateway level.
Same point, I have the question. So the API request response will react based on this policy applied
Yes.
for each API.
Correct.
Okay, so the platform will be taken care of.
Yes.
So when the request comes to the platform, so check for the policy on the dynamically.
Correct.
And then response.
Correct. Yes. I mean, that's what an API gateway typically does. Like the name suggests, it's a gateway into your APIs and servers. So any kind of rules, any kind of policy, any kind of governance, security, all of that can be applied at that gateway level before it's passed through to the actual source itself.
I think